What question do you think we should choose? Look, there is a question like this. Is it possible to forecast the level of an instrument before you put strings on it? It means to understand in advance what it will be like and how it happens. And there is a question, in your opinion, what are the principal differences between the design of classical guitar and the design with the lattice? And what are the advantages of both designs? Which of them should we better answer? Because there are actually quite difficult questions, I think. Not really. No, aren't they? Well, let's talk about forecasting. The answer is short. The forecasting is possible. Moreover, it's necessary. Moreover, just the ability to foresee the result, namely by means of purposive actions to pursue the result and get it as you have planned it, that's what professionalism in this work is. That is, if you just know how to assemble the body, well, any cabinet maker is able to make it. There is no problem here. It's a difficult work, but not deadly difficult one. But in the sense of sound, if every time you assemble it, you are simply waiting for what comes out, it just turns out like working in the dark. It's something like a bear riding a bicycle in the circus. He doesn't know what a bicycle is, he doesn't understand why he's riding, he doesn't understand the meaning of this action, how spinning pedals is connected with the turning of the wheels. He doesn't understand anything, he's just performing some mechanical action. So, to answer it very briefly, because a long answering doesn't make sense, the body of the instrument, or rather the instrument itself, like a string for instance, has its own set of resonances, that is, its own set of notes. That is, it has its basic tone and it has a set of harmonics. And you can hear it all. And at what stage can you forecast the instrument? Before you started making it. In your opinion, what are the fundamental differences between the classical guitar design and the guitars where a lattice is used? And what are the advantages of both designs? The point of design with different types of lattices, from such a primitive physical viewpoint, that is, if you take a certain abstract plate and set yourself the task of achieving a uniform distribution of elasticity on this plate, then the lattice is a very great thing. It covers the entire plate evenly over equal distances, it becomes thinner towards the edges, and you get a plate that, on its basic tone attention, that is, on the large form of vibrations, works as a whole, like a diffuser. It works extremely effectively. And also works exceptionally effectively on the small forms of vibrations which appear in these very cells. And what do we have? We have a low spectrum expressed with a high intensity, and a very high spectrum expressed with a high intensity. But in the very middle spectrum of harmonics, which I already mentioned, up to the 10th or 12th, here we just have a lapse. And such a sound will have only one advantage. This design allows us to achieve some abstract loudness, simply measured in decibels. But the sound itself, regarding its timbre, will be poor, sharp, and won't have great mobility. That is, no melodiousness there. It will be perceived as a cold, sharp sound. And so, actually, it is. Such instruments can be loud by relatively little effort. If you simply would measure in decibels, such an instrument can be very loud and create an illusion of brightness due to these high frequencies. But in fact, this depth, or what is called a warm timbre, it isn't there. And here, by the way, it's necessary to understand that when beginning to invent any strange designs, we absolutely forget what guitar has won the entire world. To what does the guitar owe its popularity all over the world? And in fact, there aren't many of such instruments. The violin can also be mentioned here, which in different cultures have taken root as folk instruments. That's all of Europe, all of Latin America. They adore this instrument in Asia, Japan, Korea, China. So is this warm, lively, mobile sound that attracts people. It's not the only plucked instrument in the world. After all, people have their own folk instruments in different cultures. Nevertheless, the guitar has conquered the world. And actually, the classical design is just focused on showing this middle spectrum of consonant harmonics in the maximum degree. As a rule, they have a better situation with the dynamic range, not with loudness, but with the very dynamic range, the space between piano and forte. And the sound is warmer and livelier when talking about timbre. It has a reason from a chase of loudness, but mainly it has a reason from a complex of guitarists that the guitar should sound like a grand piano. Somewhere someone has worn it in the head and began to invent something to make it sound like a grand piano. So you have to tell yourself once and for all that the guitar will never sound like a grand piano. There is no need to, and its advantages lie in a completely different area, absolutely. And the values of the piano, by the way, the piano, unlike the guitar, has a very low efficiency factor. There are a huge number of strings there, he weighs goodness knows how much. There is a cast iron frame, and on each note there are 3 strings. And also a very complicated mechanism of sound extraction. And with that in mind, you have no possibility to work with the timbre on a grand piano. It's only possible by varying the attack. There is no other way to work with the timbre on a grand piano. The grand piano wins over through its mass, so to say. And the guitar is a unique instrument because both hands are directly contacting the string and participate on sound processing. Such possibilities of working with the timbre, as the guitar them has, still have to be searched, if at all possible to find. Then even the violin has a go-between. It's the bow. And the guitar has both hands directly contacting with the string, and that's its advantage. And that explains its popularity. So it doesn't make any sense to strive for a piano. You have to make a guitar, trying to use the resource of this design as much as possible. Not try to make a piano without legs. Yes, by the way, I see a grand piano in the background. What piano is it? A Steinway. Made when? A Steinway of the year 1940. A very good baby grand. Okay, I think it's enough.